All right, the new fridge is here. It's lovely. I knew it would be bigger than our space, but we were waiting till it got here to actually see how much we exactly need to get rid of. We're thinking that just the edge of the countertop actually, and potentially even just the face board of this upper cabinet. But I'm gonna remove the doors of the cabinet so we can, see how much of that we need to get rid of. And also the depth of these cabinets means we only need to worry about the height to here, not to here. It is a beautiful Sunday morning and we're doing a little demo, but just like minimal demo to get the fridge in. So jigsaw, Devin, you were saying the jigsaw was having a hard time with that countertop?
Yeah.
But the circular saw did okay. Let's take a look at the countertop. Holy moly, you're right. Would you say 1.5 inches of plywood? That is some serious countertop. All right, so with that face board off, it looks like we can pop up the shelf and then maybe cut the perimeter. It's gonna be tricky to do.
Yeah, I'll cut this back.
Yeah. So Devin, do you want to just tell me how disappointed you are in me for buying a fridge of this size on camera?
2 inches smaller would have been a lot easier.
Yeah. It seems like we might have to buy a power planer for the base, the side of the base cabinets and the side of the upper cabinet to make it squeeze in, because it's just barely gonna want to touch. And I suggested chiseling the brick away. Devin had a chuckle at that. It doesn't work that way, he said. So now he's getting this back piece off. And my mistake, so I guess I'll be fixing it somehow. So we were pricing out power planers. We were looking at, should we get one that's cordless or should it have a cord? And so we were talking about when would you ever use a power planer outside, and Devin mentioned that in some of his outbuilding projects he would have liked to have one. But instead he just did it the cheaper way with tools he had. And I was like, well, what way is that? And he said, I just made a lot of small cuts and hit it with a hammer. And then both of us all at once went, oh, let's just do that right now. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take an 1/8 inch. This is a precision instrument, obviously. So have you got an exact sense of the depth the saw blade's gonna go?
I used my micrometer.
You use your micrometer? So. Nice. So how many more of those are you going to be doing?
8,000.
8,000 more. Yeah, we got this. So this is kind of cracking us up. It really bodes well for our channel. I think that we make excellent decisions that are not at all impulsive. Dad said this looks like a Wolverine just like dragged its claws along the edge. And because it's not real wood, it's not going to chip out in the same way that we kind of hoped it would. So maybe Devin can make, I don't know, we could just measure and then divide by the thickness of the saw blade, and that's how many passes you'd have to make where there's no chiseling. Totally doable.
Well, yeah, it's doable. We'll start now.
Okay, more soon. chisel for the win. All right, so what were you saying?
A timber slick is the proper tool here, because the slick has an angle. A handle comes up at an angle, so you can drive it all the way across, and the handle stays out of the wood. Whereas the chisel, I get messed up right here, and so then it just wants to drive into the wood as I get in deeper.
All right, next up, we're gonna do a belt sander with hearing protection, and we're gonna see if that's any better. What are you doing? Trying to tighten it on there?
Yeah, align the belt so it doesn't run off
How did you do that?
with the adjustment knob.
Oh, cool. All right, so I think we might have found our combination of tools. The saw will give us the 1/8 inch cuts all to the bottom. And then the belt sander will clean it off, because that was pretty quick and it doesn't do as much damage to the chisel, because there are nails occasionally that were hurting the chisel.
Got a couple nails in there. Wow.
What? Yowza.
Got a nice cross section. That was a little bit too far in. But
Hello, pots and pans.
so we can sand that transition a little bit if we have to.
Yeah. And then we're gonna set the depth back to 1/8 inch or so, and do this little bit of the upper, try to sand that off. I'm really tempted to try, but one of the places it was touching, you can see on our beautiful new fridge, was up top, so I'm pretty sure we need to take some off of the upper as well. There's been a lot of dust cleanup in here, and we basically cleaned up the dust to see if we'd taken enough off the edge for it to fit, and we were really close with the bottom cabinet. Ultimately, the masonry in some places juts out a bit, and so that's hitting, but it's a beautiful sunny morning, and this time, as I try to correct my refrigerator error, I have cleared the kitchen and covered things to make cleanup a bit easier. I've also taken out the storms and put the screens in for 2 windows and turned the heat off in here so that the dust can hopefully, I don't know, go out a little bit maybe. So you'll see I'm gonna be using the belt sander again. Last night, Devin did some deeper grooves on this upper cabinet so I can follow those grooves. And if I sand down to the grooves, we should be clear to slide in up here. There was a 1/4 inch that needed to come off. This is pine as opposed to the plywood that was down here. So hoping that it comes off a bit easier. And then over here, we need to remove some of the mortar that sticks out pretty far. I don't really want to show you the scratch marks on the side of the beautiful new fridge. I have a lot of guilt about that. But it's our fridge. We love it. We want to keep it, and we have to keep it now because we can't return it. So last night, actually, Devin just tried with this new bit we got for the angle grinder. I can show you what the bit is. Let's see. So there's the angle grinder I'm going to use, and here's an extra bit. We got 2 of them, so hopefully this removes it. It did remove last night a little piece, and I'm gonna clear other high areas, like right there. And so that smells terrible, just horrible. And it smells like basically like the dentist's office. And Devin said that's because the resin in the wheel is what's burning when it gets hot. And that's why it smells like the dentist, so it's pretty awful. So the ventilation will help.
So I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but I've just been going through and feeling with my hands and marking high spots with a marker. I'm sure something that wasn't a marker would be better, like chalk or something, but I just grabbed what I could find. I figure I'm gonna grind it off. So I just marked all those, because when I've got it on, it's really hard for me to assess what needs to go away. It all looks like it needs to come off when the tool is on. So I'm gonna try that.
Well, it's very dusty in here. I had the window open over here, and I thought I had this window open, but it was closing on its own. Little stinker. So I took some of the upper cabinet that we cut out and propped it open, so now the ventilation that I should have had the whole time can be there. The lower cabinet we did on Sunday, so really the work I did just now is sanding the upper cabinet, and you can see from the side that it is just a beautiful job. I'm joking, but it has, the material has been removed, and the, you know, sawing into it to the depth we needed is the perfect way to make sure I was meeting what I needed to. And then over here, it doesn't really look any different, but all the high points of the brick or the mortar have been removed. All right, I am stopping for the day. I've just destroyed the third sander belt in a row, and I'm taking material off, so hopefully it's making it better, but I just need time to clean up before the boys get home, and I am thoroughly done with this project, but I am not done. And I don't know when I will be. So really not loving this project right now. All right, about to get going, day 2. I really wanted it to be a one-day job, especially because of the mess that is everywhere. I'll put some images in this video to show you the thin layer of red dust that is all over the house. Even though I put the sheets up, that was silly. That of course didn't do enough. We put it in last night and it seems like it was gonna fit on the bottom, but this is how much still needs to come off the side. And that shouldn't be too bad. It was coming off really quickly here. Because I need to have a certain amount off, I think I probably ought to use the circular saw. So I'm trying to see the positive in what's been happening. And one positive is, hey, it's a good thing I didn't clean all these windows before I did this project. And also I never did a thorough, big, huge clean in the house since we moved in. So now that everything is covered in red dust, I can do that. And yay. And also, yesterday, I asked Devin to help me get ready for the day by using the circular saw to cut the grooves that would be my guides for how much I needed to take off. And because I haven't used a circular saw very often, but today I think in order to take the right amount off, I probably should use the circular saw. And I've used plenty of different kinds of saws, so I think it's doable. And I'll make sure before I do that we have enough thickness left in the shelf so it doesn't just fall off the wall before I make it all the way through. And then the other fun discovery I made yesterday is that I was using sanding belts that were 120 grit, because I was so flustered and just breaking a belt and putting another one on whatever I could grab. I was essentially using a sanding grit that is for finishing wood, not for removing massive amounts at once. I've got basically one shot today with this very thick, I believe it's 60 grit. Yeah, 50 grit actually. So hopefully I don't break it, rip it up. But yeah, no wonder it was taking me forever yesterday. That was ridiculous. So the other fun discovery I made is that I feel pretty comfortable with the angle grinder, so much so that when I revealed some metal nails yesterday, by just kind of ripping some material off, I used the angle grinder with the metal attachment, and was really proud of myself, though pretty freaked out by how much sparks were flying. And actually last night when Devin did that up here, I took a video so you can see how the sparks fly when you're using a metal attachment on an angle grinder. And this is really the reason that we haven't just gotten a power planer, because of all these nails on the side. And the sander can keep up with it if it's just grinding it down with the wood. But when you take off a huge chunk at once, then it exposes like, 1/8 of an inch of a nail, and that's just gonna rip your sandpaper. So I can tell exactly where the nails are up here, and I'm gonna make 100% sure before I put the saw to this that we have enough thickness to proceed. I'm pretty proud of myself. I did some grooves. I haven't used a circular saw. Probably I've used it, but not in this way before. So I quickly looked up a video on how to adjust the shoe. Didn't know it was called a shoe. Now I know that. And I cut these grooves. Of course, the shoe or the kind of fence won't go all the way up to the top. All right, so the bottom is the same. Hopefully we had already done enough there. But here's the top. It is a lot of material I moved. In fact, when you listen to the sound, there's not a whole lot of wood there anymore. And you can actually see the side of the shelf, which I was anticipating might happen. So there's really just as much thickness on this board here as is supporting this shelf, and always was. So we might want to reinforce that. It is in. I did a lot of screaming and jumping up and down as soon as we pushed it in. Of course, we weren't recording at that time. I am so happy to have it in. I haven't even taken the plastic wrap off completely. I started to take it off and then realized it would be better protected from all the ridiculous dust if I didn't. But it's just so amazing. It's in, and all is right with the world.